Hello, what's up? It's a big one today, guys. This all kind of like went down in the news like a month ago, and it took me so long to put all this stuff together because, damn, have you ever had to read through like 700 legal documents? It is not fun and it is mind-numbing. Before we get into today's topic, I'm just gonna plug my merch real fast. These little guys right here, the design says "Don't Call Me Hun." It is my anti-MLM creation, and I'm retiring this design at the end of the year, so you have until December 31st to get this bad guy. Then it's gonna be gone forever. I still like the whole "Don't Call Me Hun" thing, and I might use that for another design, but like this design in particular, I'm just ready to move on from it. But I'll be doing some rebranding and stuff too in the new year. So there's new stuff coming, but for now, if you want some of this, it is limited edition, so grab it today. And also it helps support me and the channel because YouTube just, some months are good, and then other months YouTube's like, no money for you. This helps me at least be a little stable, you know, so that I can continue making these anti-MLM deep dives for you here. So anyway, yeah, links are in the description. Pick something up if you can, and if you can't, that's fine. Just keep making waves, girl. Just as the FTC is with Advocare. Yes, that's right. No surprise. My dogs are barking, of course. I'm trying to do the intro. But yeah, you already know. We're talking about Advocare, and if you haven't heard about this company before, you're not alone. And I somehow I do not understand how I had never heard of Advocare until now. You know, maybe it's just because it's more of like a health wellness, like endorsed by football players in the NFL and stuff, and I'm obviously not in that world. So that might be part of why I had never heard of it, but it's bigger than I would have ever thought it was. So anyway, we all know that people within MLMs loathe the term pyramid scheme, especially when it's used to describe the business that they dabble in. But the more widespread this movement becomes, the more people become aware, and that's why I'm doing what I do, because waves are being made. So when people become aware, they're willing to speak up about it more, and that's gonna be the determining factor in making a change in these kind of companies. And the anti-MLM movement really is getting bigger by the day, and the latest company to fall victim is Advocare. So if you're anywhere in the anti-MLM community at all, you've probably heard that Advocare was recently fined $150 million by the FTC for running an illegal pyramid scheme. And before this, I mean, Advocare for like 25 years or something was just widely considered to be another MLM. So of course, you know, researching this whole lawsuit and everything is right up my alley. So the company was founded in 1993 by a man named Charles Ragus. Now, Ragus has a really interesting backstory where it's very clear that he was dealt a winning hand in life from, you know, the very beginning. He grew up as an only child in a religious household. He married his high school sweetheart, and he got a degree in business. And during this time, he actually had a brief period of time where he played for the NFL. He played for the Kansas City Chiefs for a while, but then he ultimately began a career with Fidelity Union Insurance Company, and by the ripe old age of 27, he was already the company's regional vice president. So this motherfucker's rolling in cash, right? He also dabbled in a family retail business and real estate because that's just what you do when you're rich. You have nothing else to do, so you just start buying and selling houses. And then he ultimately found what his friends and family refer to as his true calling, which was direct sales. So our boy Charlie was an Herbalife distributor, and not just any Herbalife distributor. In the 80s, he ended up becoming one of the top distributors in the entire company within just a few short years. And I'm sure many of us have heard a lot about the controversy surrounding Herbalife. I don't have the time or the patience to get into that right now, but based on what we know, it seems like his experience with Herbalife kind of influenced the way that he ran his future businesses. In 1989, he started an MLM called Omnitrition, which I believe is still around today, but by the looks of their website, they're not accepting any new distributors at the moment. I went and looked and saw that there's about 20 distributors in my zip code alone, so it's like, what does that say about the market saturation anyway? Oh my god, itty bitty! Why is it that every time I have to film these videos, my cat, every time, she's like, hey, I heard you're doing something important. Anyway, so the market is clearly oversaturated. Before I say anything else, I got a lot of Charles Ragus's background information off of his Obituary, and there it claims that Ragus sold Omnitrition a few years after he started it because he wanted to retire, even though he started Advocare like right after. However, obviously for an obituary, like it's common to kind of sugarcoat shit, right? Well, they certainly did here, because what I dug up about Omnitrition was that it was under investigation by the FTC. Yes, that's right. He sold out because Omnitrition was being investigated by the FTC for being a freaking pyramid scheme. And nothing went through. They didn't get charged for it or anything, but this spooked Charles Ragus enough to just be like, I'm out, guys. So yeah, he did sell his stake in the company to a few other associates, I guess, but he pieced right out and then started Advocare. So what did we learn, Charlie? It's just funny how Advocare ended up meeting the same fate though, you know, but we'll get into that in a minute. So Advocare was kind of coined by the phrase, I'm an advocate, who cares for you? That's what Charles Ragus said, and he made Advocare. Very creative. He wanted to use his platform to inspire professionalism within the direct selling industry, and that clearly went really well. Anyway, Ragus has been dead for almost 2 decades at this point. He was only 58 when he died, and the only thing I've seen about his death was that it was natural causes. And you know what's so crazy is that 58 is a young age to die, right? Like, it is so weird because his whole life was invested in like health and wellness products and stuff. Just like Gary Young, who also claimed that Young Living's essential oils can make you live longer. He died at an early age too. And it's like, what is it about these MLMs that are based around nutrition and health where the founders just die really early? I mean, maybe there's no correlation, but maybe there is. Conspiracy theory, I don't know. Anyway, despite Charles Ragus dying in 2001, Advocare continued to live on. At first glance, when visiting their website, you can see that they sell dietary supplements, including their Spark energy drink, meal replacement shakes, vitamins, supplements, etc. Clicking on their Our Company link brings up some interesting stuff. So, Charles created 10 guiding principles. This motherfucker actually made his own version of the 10 commandments, and I want to go through every single one of them because they're all kinds of gross. At the top of our list of the 10 commandments, number 1, honor God through our faith, family, and friends. I've never heard a line like that in an MLM before. Yeah, that's right. Yet again, we have another MLM that uses religion to appeal to those looking to get closer to God. And if you've been watching me for a long time, you've heard me make this point before, but it's always important to make this point when it gets brought up. And I even bring it up so much that boss babes in the comments are always just kind of like, why do you always have to put religion in MLMs? And I'm like, I'm not. Like, I'm literally not. Like, I didn't write these. And yet, somehow, every single MLM I've ever researched, there's God in there somewhere every single time. And even though a lot of distributors can say like, oh, well, I mean, I'm not a Christian and I don't push God to make sales. It's like, yeah, but a lot of people do. And there's no denying that, Karen. I don't care how many times you comment on my shit to say that you have never noticed religious anything in any MLM. It's just simply not true. It's everywhere. I've been in them. I've seen it. It's there. You cannot deny it. But anyway, bringing God into the mix of a company who recruits people instead of hiring is predatory. To someone who has already had an established faith in God, seeing him mentioned at the top of this list, it will encourage potential recruits to choose that company over whatever, Herbalife or something, I don't know. But as Christians, we're always looking for ways to get closer to God, and that's a determining factor for a lot of people in any life decision in general. And you see this within MLMs all the time because it fucking works as a recruitment technique. I don't care, Karen, if you don't think so, because it does. But yeah, I mean, the whole comment thing is really interesting. I mean, just look at Young Living and 31, for goodness sake. Like, you cannot deny that religion is a big guiding factor within the way those companies are ran. And then you have companies where, you know, their principles may not include religion, but like the people who are within them are always trying to be like, God gave me this opportunity, like paparazzi, point blank. Like go on paparockstars.com and listen to all of those interviews with top consultants. I listen to all of them, dude, and every single one of them talks about their faith in God. And they're just like, well, God put me here. And it's like, okay, paparazzi itself, yeah, I've gotten comments of people who are just like, oh, paparazzi never pushed religion on me. And it's like, okay, well, maybe they didn't, but like, why are all the top ranked people in this company pushing it, you know? I guarantee that every single distributor who has told me that religion isn't a strong value within their MLM could send me an invitation to all 5,000 of their Facebook groups that they're in, and I will find religion in every single one of them. That's just how it goes. Anyway, the whole point of me even mentioning this is just to say that, look at this, it's number 1 in this fucking list of 10 commandments. 2, respect and strengthen the family. What is this, the fucking mafia? Notice that they don't say your family or our families. This tells me they don't mean family in the traditional sense of the word. It sounds more like they're referring to Advocare as one big happy family, right? And you know who else likes to call themselves a family? Colts? Strange. 3, believe in the dignity and the importance of the individual. It's always so interesting to hear like top contributors to the company or distributors talking about this like in this way, because the lower level distributors are just cash grabs. That's all they are. And as we know, 99% of people who join an MLM will statistically lose money due to the FTC'S study. This is largely due to the fact that most of the sales don't come from outside customers. It comes from within the company. And guess where all that money goes when a bottom ranked distributor starts buying product? It goes all the way up to the top. The people who actually do profit from MLMs only see their downline as a pyramid of money that they've set their throne upon. And that's the extent of the importance that they carry. There's no dignity in that. 4, create a standard of excellence recognized as superior by the direct sales industry. I mean, this is still listed on their website post $150 million fine, you guys. What is excellent about running an illegal pyramid scheme? If this is the standard of excellence within the direct sales industry, these dudes have some really low standards. 5, believe that honor, integrity, and principles are the foundation of a great life and company. I mean, hey Charles, if you truly believe that, why would you start Advocare as an MLM instead of a standard traditional business? I don't see any honor or integrity involved in running people broke with your predatory business structure. 6, commit to mutual loyalty and trust between Advocare and its distributors. I mean, those are definitely 2 things that any MLM needs to stay successful, loyalty and trust, but the same can be said about actual cults too. Case in point, Charles Manson held the loyalty and trust of how many people were in his family? Like, family is what he calls, see look, family, that cults, duh, however many people there were. Like, look at how that whole thing ended up. They killed people for this guy. And don't even get me started on Heaven's Gate, or do I love that shit. I love everything about Heaven's Gate. It's so fucked up, but you know, I just love cults. But yeah, without loyalty, Young Living would have no members. There's so many great companies that aren't MLMs who sell essential oils that are just as pure as Young Living, if not more, because there's reports of Young Living being cut with synthetics, and if you want to know more about that, I'll link my Young Living video in the description below. There's lots of stuff about that on there where, you know, they claim to be super pure. There's instances where they were not. With those claims and stuff, somehow Young Living still has a ton of members, and they're all like, it's quality, it's pure, it's the purest oil you'll ever get. And it's like, no, I mean, it's really not though. Like, here's the scientific research, and then they're just like, no, that's fake news. Anyway, so you have Young Living being one of the biggest MLMs in the world, and then there's like other respectable traditional business models that sell just as good of products for way less, and they offer third-party testing results, and Young Living refuses to do that. So, which is also sketchy. So despite all of that, the cult members, I mean just members of Young Living, are so brainwashed into being loyal to this shit that they'll never waver. It doesn't matter what you say. They will never falter from Young Living. So yes, Charles, I do believe that mutual loyalty and trust is very important in keeping a cult alive. 7, establish and continually improve the vehicle of opportunity and the pursuit of financial freedom for all Advocare distributors. There's a term we're all familiar with. Financial freedom. Direct sellers' favorite term to constantly shove in the face of their potential recruits. To be fair, I think every single person on this planet is pursuing financial freedom within their own means. No one wants to be living paycheck to paycheck, you know what I'm saying? Like, we would all like to have our own piece of the pie, right? Wanting to not have to worry about how you're gonna afford your bills for the month isn't unique to MLMs. We all want that, it's just not easily attainable. So direct sellers use it to sell the dream to whoever is naive enough to buy it. 8, commit to ongoing personal growth and development through professional training and educational programs. This is certainly something that is important in all aspects in life. Again, not unique to MLMs. Every single person wants to improve throughout their lives, right? There's no secret to that, but let's just throw it into our sales pitches and it'll tug on some heartstrings. Now all the little vulnerable people come running in. That's just how it works. And in MLMs, you're not developing unless you're recruiting. 9, build self-esteem by promoting a sense of personal worth among all people. I hear losing money to a scam does wonders for your self-esteem. But sure, if you're part of the 1% who's lucky enough to actually profit off of the losses of others, buying that yacht probably made you feel really good about yourself. And 10, continually expand our market by providing the most effective and high quality products and service available. Hopefully every company feels this way, not just MLMs. Like, you want to think that your product is the best, otherwise you wouldn't be like trying to sell it to people, right? Again, this is not unique to companies that are within direct selling. Like, every company probably feels this way. Okay, so those are Advocare's 10 commandments. And if you thought that was the only weird shit on our company page, I've got another thing coming for you, because the next thing on the page is called the DebtBuster. Why is this on the website of a health and wellness MLM? At this point, you know, after everything that's happened the past few months, it may be ruins of an ancient civilization that someone just forgot to take off the website, but they also have a registered trademark on it, so there's that. This was during a time when promoting debt-free living and financial freedom through Advocare was a thing. It's not anymore. I mean, maybe they left it there as a helpful tool, but looking at it, I'm like, why keep it? Unless you are a fresh-faced, wide-eyed, and bushy-tailed 18-year-old kid who just started learning about life and finances, none of the shit that the DebtBuster claims to have trademarked is new information. In fact, it's probably the most basic procedure to eliminating your debt, but somehow they're trying to make this thing unique to Advocare. And also, what the hell did Charles Ragus ever know about being in debt? I don't think he ever owed a penny in his entire life. He's had everything in life handed to him. He knows nothing about eliminating debt, but I digress. His action plan is as follows. 1, stop using your credit cards. You mean if I keep spending money on my credit cards, I have to pay more? I have more to pay back? Yes, Karen. Good thing you found the DebtBuster to tell you that. 2, start with the credit card with the lowest balance. Yeah, okay, so when you have multiple lines of credit, usually it's easier to manage them when there's less of them. Step 3, repeat step 2 with your next credit card. So the third step of their 3-step plan is the same as the second step, just reinstated. Okay, gotcha. Well, that is such riveting information. I don't even know how Charles Ragus came up with any of it. He's a modern day Einstein. I don't know. But they also offer a debt payoff calculator and a mortgage calculator as well, because you totally just can't find the same exact thing with a quick, simple Google search. And then they have exactly 1 fucking testimonial, as if the program is so unique to Advocare that they owe their debt-free lives to the DebtBuster. Finally, on our company page, they boast about the Advocare Foundation, where they donate money to prevent childhood obesity. Listen, I cannot talk shit about a charity. I didn't see it listed as a nonprofit on their website, but I found another source that does claim it to be a nonprofit organization. They contribute their proceeds to programs who support active, healthy lifestyles for children. So like, I don't know, what would it be? Like the YMCA, stuff like that. So it's not like they made their own program in the pursuit of health in Advocare's name. You know what I'm saying? So, not to my knowledge anyway. I hate that they had to stick their name on it, but at least they seem to be doing good for their cause. I mean, it wouldn't be any different if they just named it something else, but no, let's just make this a sales tactic too. Put Advocare's name on fucking everything. Advocare also has a corporate job listing website, but when you click it, you'll find absolutely no job listings at all. Probably because they're getting thrown through the ringer right now, but it's still interesting that it's still even up nonetheless. All right, so our favorite time is upon us. The income disclosure statement. The The information on the website is very limited as of now, probably due to the fact that they were found to be an illegal pyramid scheme and had to rethink their entire business plan. The URL here is advocare.com/get-started/become a distributor/income disclosure statement. And if you delete that last part, typically you'd be brought back to the page before in that sequence, but the become a distributor page doesn't exist anymore. But thanks to the Wayback Machine, I was able to look and see what used to be there. This snapshot comes from January 2019, just a few months before shit went down. But this page definitely used to exist. At the top of the page in bold letters, it used to say, earn income for helping others. A bit of an over-exaggeration, but okay. Then they proudly announced that their average annual income to paid distributors in 2017 was $1,402. They failed to mention that the median income was $125. And if you remember from our deep dive into HempWorks, we kind of ran into the same issue here. So during this time that information was being collected on Advocare, they had 387,372 distributors, but over 67%, or around 260,000 of those people, earned $0. Those people were not included in the statistics at all. So this means that 126,737 distributors received checks from Advocare during this time, ranging from 1 cent to $4 million. Brief math lesson. If there were only 2 distributors, one making 1 penny and one making $4 million, the average of those 2 numbers would be about 2 million. But that obviously isn't the case here. The average is roughly $1,400, which means that there were way more people making less than that in order to skew the average in that way. And this is further verified by looking at the median, which is calculated by taking every single distributor's income and lining them up in numerical order, and then choosing the middle number, which was 125, which means that out of the distributors who even made a check, this is not including those people who made 0, at least half of them made $125 or less over the course of a year. 50% of paid distributors made less than $125 in a year. If that isn't sad enough, the income disclosure statement states that the average amount that a distributor paid for product in this particular year was $569.69. So they're making $125 a year but spending almost $600. That is a loss, fam. The snapshot from the income disclosure statement back in 2018 contains many pieces of information that have since been removed, including boasting about their vacation incentives, selling and recruiting bonuses, other typical flashy MLM rewards. Unfortunately, this isn't unusual. These statistics are very common within every single MLM. Honestly, I was expecting to see some kind of crazy compensation plan, right? But all of this really doesn't seem that uncommon. So since the FTC busted Advocare for this, then all other MLMs better watch out, because it is not much different from what we see everywhere else. The fact that the income disclosure statement still partially exists on their website tells me that there's still Advocare distributors that are active, that they just kind of got grandfathered in and they're still earning income, but only off of product sales. There seems to be no incentive to recruit anymore. Basically, all their website says is that you can buy Advocare products at a discount and resell them at the suggested retail price in order to turn a profit, but that's all it mentions now. It still lists the same stats we talked about earlier as possible income though, and that's just not true anymore. These were stats from when they were still running as an illegal pyramid scheme, and their compensation plan was completely different from what it is now. It's extremely misleading, but I guess it hardly matters anymore because it's not like you can sign up as a distributor at this point anyway. You can sign up as a preferred customer though, which is basically a program where you pay $20 a year and you get a 20% discount on everything you buy. If you buy more, your discount can grow up to 30%, and there's no income possibility there. You're just paying a membership fee for a discount. So yeah, I tried to keep that part short and sweet. The HempWorks video was just way too long, and it was basically just all talking about their compensation plan. I just did not want to do that. Plus, a lot of the information just wasn't accessible anymore. But anyway, let's talk about some controversies, beach! Let's see what Advocare has encountered in the past. But before I get into this part, please know that the lawsuits involved with this company are all over the place. There's a ton of them. And throughout my research, I read multiple instances of like he said, she said crap. And it's like one person sues Advocare and then Advocare countersues, or vice versa. With how many sponsorships they've thrown to professional athletes, with how many spokespeople they have had, they just always seem to be in a legal battle with someone. I'm obviously not going to talk about all of them. There's just too many. And honestly, I can't be asked to read through that many lawsuits. I just can't. It would take way too long and I would lose too many brain cells because it's just mind-numbing. Just know that more than what I'm talking about here does exist. I'm just gonna talk about a few key instances that really stuck out to me. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, there was a lawsuit in the 90s against Charles Ragus and his business associates with Omnitrition. Full court documents about that are down below if you want to read them. But that is certainly not even the tip of the iceberg with legal trouble that Advocare has found themselves in over the years. This story kind of infuriates me just a little bit to my core. But back in 2005, Advocare was criticized for marketing a caffeinated energy drink. Hold your breath. Let it out. To children! No, that's not in bad taste at all, Advocare. Children need excess energy. Mind-blowing. Anyway, according to the New York Times, the company's marketing materials describe the drink as a way to kickstart the morning for children as young as 4. Oh my god! This material claimed that the drink would help a child develop fully as a high-performance athlete and fill nutritional gaps. It contained 60 milligrams of caffeine, which is pretty close to the amount of caffeine in an espresso-based beverage. So, like, could you imagine going to Starbucks and buying a latte for your 4-year-old? Just thinking about that makes me uncomfortable. Like, I don't even let my kid have a sip of Red Bull, or even, like, I don't let her drink soda. It's just like, they don't need it. They do not need it. Advocare tried to say it was more of a caffeine delivery system, but an overall health and wellness drink with a bunch of nutritional benefits. Have we heard of a daily multivitamin? Why do we need to get our kids addicted to caffeine and sugar at 4 years old? Right? Or older, regardless. I mean, we don't need to get them addicted to a drug, essentially, when they're 4 years old. It's so unnecessary. And then with how controversial performance-enhancing drugs are in adult professional athletes, why would Advocare think that it's okay to market a performance-enhancing energy drink to a child straight out of the womb? Many pediatricians and medical professionals spoke out against Kickstart Spark, calling it scary, and strongly advised parents to keep caffeine away from their children. Freaking duh, especially because the effects of caffeine on children are not fully explored right now, because what parent would say, sure, test an addictive drug on my toddler? Like, no parent would do that. So those studies just basically don't really exist. It's just unethical. One pediatrician said that what we do know about children and caffeine consumption is based on a very small number of subjects. But we've been able to tell that caffeine can cause children to become emotionally unstable, hyperactive, irritable, less attentive in school. But whether or not caffeine does more harm than good to a child, the fact remains, you'd be introducing an addictive substance to a child who otherwise doesn't need to be exposed to it. And before anyone even says it in the comments, like, I know there's caffeine in dark chocolate, okay? Dark chocolate, I don't think many kids like dark chocolate, right? Like, it's bitter, you know? It's not as sweet as milk chocolate. And an entire dark chocolate bar contains less than half of a Kickstart energy drink. And that's an entire, like, Hershey's dark chocolate bar. A kid shouldn't be eating that whole thing in a day, especially, if even at all. An entire bar of Snickers has 5 milligrams of caffeine. It's pretty much nothing. So it's kind of a bullshit argument to be like, well, chocolate consumption with children is like the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. Kids should not be drinking energy drinks. Kids also should not be eating chocolate probably every single day of their lives, but call me a strict parent, but like, it is a treat if Sparrow gets chocolate, you know? If your 4-year-old is eating more than one whole Snickers bar a day, that's a parenting issue right there. And I don't want to mom shame or anything, but come on, like, this shit contains substances that's banned from the NCAA. Like, we should not be pumping our kids full of it. Also, have you been around a kid under the age of like 10? Like, the amount of energy that their little bodies have is so extra, they don't need caffeine. Like, Sparrow would run around in circles and like hop around like a bunny from sun up to sundown every day if she could, and I consider her behavior to be mild. That's just what kids do. They already have enough energy. They don't need caffeine. For Advocare to think that this was a good idea tells me that these companies really have no concern for the well-being of their customers in more ways than one, but with what we know about MLMs, people who are deep within them are essentially brainwashed. And if the precious company says something like, oh, this is safe and necessary, they're gonna jump right on that shit. And they're gonna do that without objectively researching it first. If those weren't true, then Young Living wouldn't be the cult that it is today. There's a New York Times article that has a little tidbit of information I'd like to include. Apparently, a little bit before all of this criticism started, Advocare had been under scrutiny for sponsoring a high school wrestling tournament, and after public backlash, Advocare was like, our bad, we won't sponsor school events anymore, only to sponsor the World of Wrestling National Youth Championship tournaments afterwards. And they're like, hey man, it wasn't a school event, even though it was attended by literally thousands of children. And I'm gonna read to you a quote from the owner of these tournaments. It's in this article, and it's just, I just want to vomit. It's bad. Jack Roller, owner of the World of Wrestling Youth Tournament, said, Advocare is one of our big sponsors, has been for some time, and Advocare has some wonderful products. He added, but I don't think all their products are for kids. If you've got something with caffeine in it, you've got a huge concern. Advocare sponsorship cost the company about $1,000 and included the right to hand out samples, Roller said. Very gently, I try to ask them just not to give them to kids, he said. So basically what this guy is saying is like, hey, they gave us money, and despite how much I disagree with their marketing practices, I mean, I'm just gonna keep plastering their name all over everything because they gave me $1,000. You value money over morals, dude. Like, you clearly said it yourself. Anyway, this guy is just as bad as the people who made the shit. It's just gross. Now, the good news is that they no longer sell this product in particular, but I was reading a blog post that was published in 2017, so it's still fairly recent. It mentioned a link to a document called the Product Age, Pregnancy, and Nursing Indications Chart, and when you click that link, guess what? It's no longer on Advocare's website. It does not exist anymore. But thanks to the internet being a pretty permanent thing, I was able to find like pieces of the document. I'm gonna assume that they decided to retire the document and delete it from their website after the whole drama with the FTC started. It's safe to assume that it was still active as little as 2 years ago in 2017. I mean, it probably stuck around later than that though. Anyway, despite having retired their Kickstart energy drink years ago, this document up until recently said that 3 of their products were still safe for children under 4, including their Rehydrate Electrolyte Replacement Energy Gel drink and nutrition bars. And the biggest problem is that I couldn't find a full nutritional label on any of these products on Advocare's website. But of course, they had to cover their asses by adding this at the very bottom. We strongly recommend that decisions concerning products given to minors include parental and healthcare provider involvement. Product appropriateness may depend upon the individual's weight, maturity, sports involvement, and other factors. There are grown-ass adults shoving pure lavender oil into a newborn baby's like nostrils. I don't think that the Hun bots read the disclaimers at the bottom, like the fine print, you know? Even when it's made abundantly available to them, they don't read that shit or look into it at all. They don't care because they're brainwashed. They just endanger others to prove a point. And if you want to get really, really upset, there's a link down below to a forum called Circle of Moms where Humbots are totally disregarding any safety guidelines at all and how much Spark energy drink that they should be giving their child with ADHD in replacement of prescription medication. There are a few voices of reason who are like, no, don't do that. Read the label. It clearly says it's dangerous for minors because of X, Y, and Z. But the Humbots came out for blood and they all said, don't listen to the haters. I give my 6-year-old 2 cans of Spark every single day. It is infuriating and you should read it. In 2009, Olympic swimmer Jessica Hardy sued Advocare because she failed a banned substance test after being endorsed by Advocare and taking their products. She tested positive for clenbuterol, which is a breathing enhancing drug, and the result was a 2-year doping related suspension, which she claims to have deprived her of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity while weighing damage to her reputation. Previous to this lawsuit, Advocare actually filed a suit against Jessica Hardy, demanding that the judge rule that Advocare products did not contain clenbuterol and that her positive test at the 2008 trials was not caused by any of Advocare's products. So the weird part of all this is that in the first lawsuit, Advocare claims to have gotten these specific batches tested by NSF International, which is a nonprofit organization that tests stuff for the NFL, certifies that supplements are free of taint for professional sports, pretty much. And they claim that the test came back negative for clenbuterol. But on the flip side, Jessica Hardy, when she countersued, she had her exact samples tested that she had been taking, plus like the unused products that Advocare had given her, and she had those tested by the Anti-Doping Research Lab in LA, and they specifically said they tested all of the Advocare's products used by Miss Hardy using remaining samples from those she had with her at the US Olympic trials in July 2008, or samples from the same product lot or lots as those she used in the US Olympic trials in July 2008. After extensive testing, ADR detected the presence of clenbuterol in samples of arginine, extreme, and nighttime recovery. So one lawsuit says, no, there's no clenbuterol in here, and then the other one says otherwise. So it's hard to know who to believe. She ended up only being banned from competing for 1 year instead of 2. It was a civil suit, so it's likely that they just like settled privately or something, because I didn't see any reports of like an actual outcome from either lawsuit. In 2009, Bruce and Teresa Badgett were awarded $1.9 million in damages against Advocare after their distributor contracts had been unfairly canceled, and the company was engaging in deceptive trade practices, including misappropriating profit streams that was supposedly earned by the Advocare distributors via their downline, but they just used the revenue to directly benefit Advocare instead of the individual distributors. So the Badgetts were longtime Advocare distributors, and they were part of the 1% that was actually profitable. In 2010, Advocare actually tried to appeal the court's decision here because they weren't customers, which we all know that distributors and MLMs are the customers, but they failed miserably. And with that countersue, they were ordered to reimburse the Badgetts for their court costs relating to defending themselves in that appeal. So fuck you, Advocare. There was a similar lawsuit in 2007 where 2 former distributors claimed to have lost a combined almost $30,000 over the course of many years trying to work the business. Advocare had terminated one person's membership because they hadn't paid their annual membership fee, and with the other distributor, Advocare just completely locked her out of her account. So basically, the main point of this suit was that Advocare distributors lose money most of the time. In 2018, the BBB requested that Advocare substantiate, modify, or discontinue several advertising claims made on its website. In particular, the BBB requested substantiation for donation claims, requested additional terms to be added to the company's satisfaction guarantee, and requested competent and reliable scientific substantiation for health-related results claimed in the company's marketing materials and consumer testimonials. The BBB Code of Advertising basically says that if you're gonna advertise health and performance claims, it needs to be based on extensive scientific research and evidence instead of objective data. As of April 22nd, 2019, Advocare has failed to provide the requested scientific documentation to substantiate its health-related claims. So after the FTC's big investigation had begun, Advocare came crawling back to the BBB asking to resolve that last part, and the BBB was like, fine, yeah, we can resolve stuff, you just gotta send us the scientific evidence and research. And Advocare just never did. As mentioned earlier, there are plenty more legal or moral issues that have been related to Advocare, but these ones that I just talked about were kind of the more significant ones in my opinion. But it's finally time to talk about Advocare's downfall. In April 2019, Reddit began buzzing about reports of Advocare laying off 41 corporate employees. The following month, May 2019, Advocare announced that they were going to change its business model and how their distributors were compensated after having confidential talks with the FTC. What that really means is that they violated regulation and their asses got caught, and the FTC was like, hey, they ditched the MLM business model and now they're more of a traditional business model, kind of. Although, as I mentioned earlier, there are still distributors that got grandfathered in, but you can also buy from Advocare's website directly. So there's no opportunity to sign up as a new distributor, but the ones that are still there can still make an income off of selling the product, but there's no incentive to recruit at all. And the guys high up in Advocare have lost nearly all streams of revenue. Otherwise, no one would be buying overpriced MLM bullshit. Most distributors have already actually jumped ship to new MLMs, so they may have spent years and years and years talking about how great and life-changing Advocare's products are. Like, this is my lifestyle now. But the moment the money's gone, I guess it's not that great anymore, huh? Okay, so these new changes actually took effect in July. Since then, any existing distributors that are left can only make compensation from products sold directly to the customer, and that is it. Later that month, a class action lawsuit was thrown at Advocare, and this particular group of plaintiffs actually tried to sue Advocare 26 months prior, so a little over 2 years prior, but the court dismissed all of it. Advocare's distributor contract states that any legal matters have to be handled in arbitration instead of, going through the whole court system. But obviously this matter was brought to court. Trying to understand legal documents is difficult for me because I am a layman and I am not a lawyer. But from what I understand, the plaintiffs wanted to have a trial by jury, which the court granted. I believe that's all that came from that. They were trying to seek damage for alleged RICO violations, wire fraud, violations of the Deceptive Trade Act, pyramid scheme type things. I don't believe any charges actually came out of this lawsuit as of yet, but I imagine this isn't the end of it. Or maybe it is, because what happened after that with the whole FTC thing. I mean, Advocare is still a company and they should still be held liable for things that they did. So I think they're trying to push this through the court system, because I couldn't find any other reports of charges being filed or I don't know, anything really. So that may or may not still be up in the air. But just last month, in October of 2019, the FTC made a statement that Advocare had been fined $150 million as a settlement for operating an illegal pyramid scheme. Not only this, but two of their top promoters, named Carlton and Lisa Hardman, husband and wife, they were forced to pay $4 million in damages. And here's the best part. They were banned from ever participating in direct sales or multi-level marketing ever again, including assisting others with advertising their involvement in an MLM. They're not allowed to go near MLMs at all ever again. And I think also in the statement, they pretty much said that they have to continue to follow up with the FTC for 15 years or some shit, reporting on their compliance with the whole settlement. You really should read that document in particular. It's down below, but there's so many things that it's it is further stated that you must do this and you must do this. This is how you be compliant. And it's just so wonderful. So the $4 million thing. Okay. They paid $100,000 up front, and then the rest is ordered to be paid by their material assets. So yeah, the court ordered them to sell their lakeside mansion in 6 months, and if they don't, then it has to be auctioned. As of right now, the house is still on the market. I'll link it down below too. I scrolled through the pictures. It's a really cute little lakeside house. And by cute little house, it's a very large house, 6 bedrooms, 5.5 baths, it's big. Overlooking a Alabama lake. Anyway, so the FTC also tried to find a few more distributors in the same way for the same stuff, but my understanding is that the Hardmans are the only two that actually reached a settlement. I'm assuming the others who are being charged are trying to fight the ruling, or maybe in court it was determined that they're not as guilty as the other two. I really don't know. It wasn't made super clear to me, so maybe that's all still ongoing, but regardless, it's a win. In the FTC's statement, they claim that the parties falsely claimed to offer a life-changing financial solution that would allow any ordinary person to earn unlimited income, attain financial freedom, and quit their regular job. Okay, well, that sounds familiar. In reality, the FTC alleged that the vast majority of Advocare distributors have earned no money or lost money, and that the compensation plan incentivized recruitment over product sales. This was made abundantly clear when the FTC quoted a distributor at Advocare's Success School as saying that the structure was derived to recruit business builders who recruit business builders who recruit business builders. Okay, so you got that kind of shit going around, like, of course. This isn't unique to this company though, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, there's a little bit more here. So what does the business structure of an illegal pyramid scheme like this look like? Well, the distributor pays $59 to enroll, but has to meet monthly requirements like having purchased a certain amount of product every month, adding up to like $1,000 to $2,000 a year on average. And then you can buy the products at a wholesale discount and resell them at retail value. But if you want an actual income potential, you have to build a downline, and the bigger team you have, the more rewards you get. When recruiting, distributors were encouraged to make outlandish income claims, guaranteed lifestyle changes, financial freedom, and they were told to create an emotional narrative like, before Advocare we were broke, but after we got into Advocare we paid off all of our debt and we just bought our first mansion, and like dumb shit like that. Just unobtainable things. They were often told to basically instill fear in their recruits by saying like, if you don't do this, you're gonna regret it, that kind of stuff. And I can vouch for this, like, because when I was with Limelight, that was a recruitment technique that was used on me and worked on me, because they were like, hey, there's only like 10,000 distributors or something like that in the entire company. Like, if you get in now, you're getting in early and then you'll go to the top really fast. And if you don't do this now, you're gonna regret not ever taking that leap and all that stuff. So this is not unique to Advocare. As what we saw on the HempWorks compensation plan, Advocare was also a company that basically blamed your lack of success on the amount of effort you put in. I mean, we hear this with every MLM, and all you have to do is go on any of my MLM videos and sort the comments by newest, so you'll be able to see like all the hate comments, because I get that a lot. That's just like, you're just jealous because you didn't work hard enough and you failed, and it's just like, yeah, but like so does 99% of the rest of the people, and I probably worked harder than like half of the people above me. So you know what I'm saying? Advocare really liked to hit on that point hard, just like HempWorks does. Obviously, in reality, none of this was true. There's no viable path to financial freedom, and the distributor is set up for failure. So in return, the FTC was like, well, hey, if you're a distributor with Advocare and lost money, we're using this $150 million to give you your money back. If you have any inventory, Advocare has been ordered to give you a refund on it. Following this, Advocare came out with a press release that still says that despite all of this, they deny that they ever operated a pyramid scheme. They fully complied, but they did not agree with the outcome. In their statement, they say more than once that their sales are just as good as they've ever been, and they still have hundreds of thousands of customers. Yeah, okay, Advocare, whatever you say, just keep telling yourself that. On this note, I do want to say that I read a few sources that said Advocare's products are of average quality, on par with stuff that you'd find at GNC or like One Stop Nutrition or something like that, except the price is marked up significantly as like a super premium product. No surprise there, because hello, it's an MLM. But I didn't go through and like look at any of the ingredients and stuff, mostly because they weren't like immediately accessible on Advocare's website, and also I just didn't want to spend the time looking at that and then like looking at other supplements to see what ingredients were different. But anyway, I was reading in a few different places like it's no better than the stuff you get at a nutrition shop or something like that. And I want to end on this quote from the FTC's statement. Andrew Smith, director of the Bureau of Consumer Protection, stated, "The FTC is committed to shutting down illegal pyramid schemes like this and getting money back for consumers whenever possible." Shutting down illegal pyramid schemes like this. Now that's a threat. What is so uplifting to me about this whole thing is that, through my research, Advocare is really not different than literally any other MLM that I've researched. If this happened to Advocare, there's nothing holding the FTC back from just picking everyone apart one by one. And I really hope that the FTC doesn't fall back on this quote here and they start holding these companies accountable. The MLMs that are out there right now, they need to change their shit, and if they don't, the FTC is going to be on them next, because they're, like I said, everything that is Advocare is similar, if not exactly the same as any other MLM. Like, there's not much that they did that's any more scummy than the rest of the MLMs out there. With that, that's the end of this video, I guess. Make sure you check out my merch, support your girl. Links are down below, and get it before we're done with it as of December 31st. You have until then to get it. And until then, guys, just keep making waves, honey, because the anti-MLM movement is what made Advocare's downfall possible. And so the more we talk about it, oh, Pippi, hi.
you can come say bye to people with me.
Anyway, yeah, the more we talk about all of this, the more attention it's getting, and make waves or something is gonna be what I want to like use as our motto, I guess, because it really that is what we're doing, right? It's wonderful. So anyway, thank you so much if you sat through this whole thing. Okay, you know what? Actually, I do want to say that you guys have been sending me some really great stuff on Instagram. I've got a few things to go off of that I want to make videos on. Like, you guys will just find like topics or like people I should look into and stuff who are being illegitimate in one way or another, and yeah, it's just really great. So keep sending me that stuff, because even if I don't make a video on it, I just love to know about what's going on. Keep them coming, guys. My Instagram and stuff is down below, and that's probably the best way you can reach me. But anyway, okay, thank you so much for watching. Keep making waves, babes. I'll see you later. Bye!